What's up, guys? Mitchell Watts with Town & Country TV, and today we're talking about BlueCruise. This is Ford's new self-driving technology. That's not the legal phrase. I'll get into that here in just a second. But we're going to tell you everything that you need to know about all of the technology that Ford has available in all the different vehicles that helps you drive your everyday Ford vehicle, not just this Mach-E that we're driving. Town & Country TV is giving away this Bronco that has been customized by TC Customs. Entering is very simple. For every dollar that you spend, you'll get one entry. This applies to merchandise only, so make sure that you stock up on t-shirts, hats, and stickers. They make perfect Christmas gifts for truck and Bronco enthusiasts. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that link down below for more information. Before we jump into what BlueCruise is, I want to talk about how we got here. So the very first thing that Ford came out with, well, I'm not sure which one came first, the chicken or the egg, but Ford came out with an adaptive cruise control. And it worked like this. There was a radar sensor in the front bumper, and it was just shooting a radar straight out ahead of you. And if there was somebody in front of you, then it would maintain a safe distance between you and the car in front of you. That was actually quite a few years ago. I even had that on my 2017 Ford Raptor, and it worked really well. There no issues, no complaints. Inside of that same radar sensor, they give you the ability to basically have a collision avoidance system. So not only is it looking for cars to maintain a safe distance, you know, when you're using that adaptive cruise control, they also give that ability to look for vehicles that are stopped in front of you to hopefully potentially lessen or, you know, hopefully avoid an accident altogether. Also, around that same time, Ford came out with what they call lane keeping. So what that means is there is basically a camera located in the windshield, and what it's doing is looking for the lines in the road. And if it can see the lines, then what will happen is it will keep you from accidentally running outside of those lanes. Let's say if you're coming back from a ball game and it's really late, or coming back from work, it's really late, you're tired, and you start to doze off. It's designed to hopefully bounce you back into the lane and keep you from running off the road. Not really a self-driving technology, but it is kind of the foundation of where we are today. Now, it is worth noting the fact that not every vehicle that Ford currently has even has lane keeping assist, that is. And the reason for that is because every vehicle is built a little bit differently. For instance, the Ford F-150 has electronic power assisted steering, meaning that the vehicle can actually control the steering wheel, and it can help you stay in the lane if that's something that needs to happen. Things like the Super Duty, the F-250, F-350, those vehicles are still operating off of a hydraulic steering system, and it cannot just easily control it. So in those vehicles, Ford is giving us what they call lane departure warning. Has the same camera, it's looking for the lines in the road. If it sees you're leaving the road, since it can't physically drive you back in the lane, the steering wheel vibrates 3 hard times if you have that feature turned on. But once again, that's just designed to alert you. It's not designed to actually aid you back in the line. Fast forward a few years, and Ford Motor Company took their adaptive cruise control and added an intelligent feature to it. And what that intelligent feature means is, yes, it'll still maintain a safe distance between you and the car in front of you, but it can also now read street signs. So those same cameras that are looking for the lines in the road now has the ability to pick up speed limit signs off of the road, and it can actually adjust your desired speed based on what the speed limit signs. Now, if you're like me, I don't like that feature, because if you run into like a speed trap that's, or the speed dips down really quickly for a short period of time, I may not want to slow down all the way to 35 miles an hour. So I like to make that decision myself. So I typically leave that intelligent feature off, but it is nice to know that you have that if that's something that's important. Around the same time that Ford Motor Company came out with the intelligent version of the adaptive cruise control, they came out with their next generation of lane keeping assist, keeping you in the lane. They called that lane centering. And what that does is it's basically just lane keeping assist, but on steroids. Let me explain. So the first lane keeping feature basically ping-ponged you in the lane. It basically kept you from coming to your imminent death as you run off the road. That sounded kind of morbid. But the lane centering now is actively looking for those same lines in the road, but actually going to keep you in the center of the lane. The idea there is that as long as you have your hands on the steering wheel, the vehicle will steer itself for you as long as it can see those visible lines. Now the problem is that like this road that I'm on right now doesn't have very clearly painted lines, and so that's the reason BlueCruise, the full self-driving that we're going to get to in a second, that's the reason that it can't work on roads like this, is because it can't fully see and predict what's going on. And so that's going to be your main reason. Lane centering is a very nice feature. It doesn't drive itself, but it sure does feel like it sometimes. Once again, you have to keep your eyes on the road. You have to keep your hands on the steering wheel the whole time. But the gas and the brake pedal, you're good. It's got it taken care of. The steering wheel, as long as your hand's on the steering wheel, it will most of the time steer itself completely. It helps maintain you into the center of the lane. That's why they call it lane centering. It's a really, really good technology, and it actually debuted in the new body style Explorer, I think a 2020 model if I'm not mistaken. Moving back to the adaptive cruise control, I realized that I forgot to mention to you that somewhere between the first generation of the adaptive cruise control and the intelligent version of the adaptive cruise control, Ford gave us a feature called Stop and Go. And Stop and Go is exactly what it sounds like. The adaptive cruise control, if it senses someone in front of you is coming to a complete stop, they will bring the vehicle to a complete stop for you. And then if you sit there for longer than 3 seconds, you just hit a button on the steering wheel, and then you will go automatically from there, and it will resume that adaptive cruise control. So literally, if you're in Birmingham or Atlanta or whatever big city that you've got, you have the ability to let that thing deal with stop and go traffic for you. A really, really cool feature. All right, now let's talk about the reason you clicked on the video, and that is going to be BlueCruise. But for that, demonstration purposes, I'm going to stop by Chick-fil-A and get something to eat. Hey, how are you doing? I'm good. I've got a mobile order from Mitchell Watts.
That's the new electric Mustang.
It is. It's the Mach-E. How are you doing today?
Feeling good. Is it fast?
It is, yeah. It's, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Cool.
The Mach-E turns heads. Not quite as much as the Ford GT, but I'll take it. All right, so now we've got our Chick-fil-A, not sponsored. I just love Chick-fil-A, as you can probably tell. Anyways, the reason I got the Chick-fil-A is to actually show you something. So we're actually headed on the interstate right now. So I'm going to carefully merge onto the interstate, but I've got about 40 miles of interstate driving ahead of me. And the reason I'm doing that, I'm heading over to our Pell City store, Town & Country Ford in Pell City, Alabama. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to test out BlueCruise. And let me tell you why. So the same, well, I tell you what, before I tell you why, let me tell you what vehicles this feature is currently included on. Now, you have the ability to get a Mach-E, the all-electric Mustang SUV, as you just heard, and it does come as an option, depending on which trim level and a couple of other things. But this is not an electric vehicle-only feature. The 2021 Ford F-150 also has this as an available option, depending on the trim level that you select. But here's what it boils down to. Once again, I've got right at 40 miles until we get to our destination, all on the interstate. And the reason I got my breakfast is because I'm going to turn my cruise control on. I'm going to set my speed, and you'll notice the screen just turned blue. Now I'm completely hands and feet free driving, as long as I'm paying attention to the road. So if I want to come over here and just watch the road, but I can still go in and I can eat my breakfast sandwich from Chick-fil-A, I can do that. My feet are nowhere near the pedals, my hands are nowhere near the steering wheel, but you need to make sure that you stay close to the steering wheel and stay ready to take over just in case, because this is not full self-driving. This is really just a driver assist technology. But this car's got 2,300 miles on it as it sits. I personally put about 500 miles worth of BlueCruise miles on it, and it's incredible. Now let me tell you a little bit about how it actually does what it does. BlueCruise is a culmination of everything Ford has learned about driver assist technologies. The adaptive cruise control, the intelligent adaptive cruise control, all of that is put in here. The stop and go is put in here. We have not only the lane keeping system, but we also have lane centering, and then we also have the BlueCruise, which is basically just another level of that. So using those same cameras, looking at the lines in the road, it will keep you in the middle of the lane. It just when you're on a certain section of divided road, it doesn't require any hands. It is literally a sit back and enjoy the ride kind of an experience. Now, I am on a terribly rough surface on I-459 close to I-65 in Alabama, which if you guys are from Alabama, you know what I'm talking about. This road can be a little bit rough at times, and it's handling it just fine. The lines in the road are terrible, but the camera's still picking it up. Now, here's the coolest part about this, is there are sensors all around the vehicle. So you have sensors outside of the vehicle looking for other cars. You have sensors in the vehicle. Now, this is what's really crazy. You have sensors in the vehicle making sure that I'm paying attention to the road. So that way, if I start, not paying attention, if I'm talking to so-and-so, you're gonna hear there's gonna be an audible warning here in just a second. Did you hear that? That's saying watch the road. It's saying, it's warning you, hey dude, you need to watch the road. Don't pay attention to all this other stuff. You need to be watching the road. You're still technically in control. It's just that while you're paying attention, the car's going to drive itself. Once again, on certain section of divided road. Now, diving a little bit deeper into those sensors. The sensors for the inside are all over the place. So you have in the Mach-E, by the way, the F-150, the sensor locations might be a little bit different. And as new vehicles come out, the sensors might be in a different location. But specifically for the Mach-E, you have the sensors are going to be located in the steering wheel just above it. It's a black little shiny piece of plastic, but behind those are a couple of different sensors. I'm pretty sure that it's an IR sensor. And the reason I say that is because it is not only looking at my head position, but it's also looking at my eyes. So once again, I'm going to keep my head 100% still. I'm looking at the road right now, and watch what happens when I take my eyes and just look straight up with my eyeballs. Once again, I did not move my head position at all. It's literally looking at my eyes. And there you go. It's telling me to watch the road. Not only can it see my head position, but it's also looking for my eyeball position. This thing is crazy. I'm gonna do you one better. Check this out. What about sunglasses? The IR sensors can see through your sunglasses. It can tell that I'm paying attention to the road through my sunglasses. How wild is that? So I guess what it really boils down to is if you do a lot of interstate driving, BlueCruise might be something that you want to seek after. Now, the only downside to BlueCruise is there's a lot of technology, and with a lot of technology, there's a lot of microchips, and you might have heard of something called a microchip shortage. So I'm sure this is not going to be a feature you're going to see on every vehicle in the coming next 6 or 12 months, as microchip shortages are not going to get any better. Hint, hint. I really don't think that they will. But it's just really neat to see that Ford has this technology. Yes, I know. I can go ahead and hear what the comments are going to say. Oh, but Tesla has, Tesla has a great system. I ain't got nothing wrong with it. All I'm saying is that Ford's system is a little bit different. I think that they're both good in their own right. My main argument is most people have no clue that Ford even has this technology available, that you can drive 40 miles down the interstate and never have to touch the steering wheel as long as all the conditions are met. And once again, the car's constantly looking to make sure that those conditions are met. If they aren't, and the car says, you know what, I think this is unsafe, it's going to ask you to take over or take control. So that's pretty interesting. Now, what I'll also say is that it also depends on how fast you're going. So for instance, I've noticed on 459 the other day, I had to speed up, so I set the BlueCruise speed to 79 miles an hour. It worked just fine. And then on that same road, I ticked it up to 80 miles an hour and it cut itself off. I guess it decided that 80 miles an hour was not safe, but 79 is. On a different interstate, I tested it out and I went to like 85 just to test it real quick, and then I closed it, but it went all the way up to 85 miles an hour while BlueCruise was still working. So once again, the car's constantly looking at all these different scenarios, and it's going to let you know whether BlueCruise is working. Now, here's one of the things that I love about BlueCruise, is that it is very clear and apparent when BlueCruise is actually on. So when you first turn on the cruise control, it'll tell you BlueCruise is active, please watch the road, It gives you all these like legal warnings, right? But once that's already done and you're on the interstate and you turn on the BlueCruise, if for some reason the car says, nah, I can't do BlueCruise right now, it'll work with the intelligent adaptive cruise, and it'll even work with the lane centering, but you're gonna have to keep your hands on the steering wheel. Then when it says, all right, it's hands-free, the whole instrument cluster lights up a nice blue tone. And what that is that's a way that you can visually see out of your peripheral vision without actually having to look down. The BlueCruise is active. You can let your hands go. So that way you're not having to constantly look down at the instrument cluster. You can see out of the corner of your eye, I can let go. Or, you know, it went black. I need to go ahead and grab a hold of the steering wheel. Let's recap the different driver assist technologies because I kind of went out of order. I tried to go by timeline, and I realized that might be a little bit more of a confusing way to do it. First off, they came out with adaptive cruise control, which basically keeps a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Then we picked up stop and go, the ability to come to a complete stop and then resume based on the traffic patterns ahead of you. Then we picked up the intelligent version, which can see stop signs as we're driving down the road. Those are your iterations of the adaptive cruise control. Then let's talk about the lane centering / BlueCruise, if you will. So, or the hands-free, if you will. So the very first thing we picked up was going to be the lane keeping assist, which basically used electronic power assisted steering to ping pong you back into the lane, keeps you from running off the road. Then we picked up at the same time, or around the same time, the Super Duty picked up a version of that doesn't steer you back in the lane, but alerts you when you're going out of the lane by vibrating the steering wheel. And then we picked up lane centering, which with your hands on the steering wheel will maintain you in the center of the lane depending on your situation and the lines in the road. And then this is the BlueCruise, which is the hands-free driving on certain sections of divided road, which, by the way, Ford Motor Company claims they have over 100,000 miles of roads that are already mapped out for this BlueCruise setup. And so I'm excited. Yeah, we've gotten a little bit of distance. I've got 26 miles left until we get to our Pell City location, and as of yet, I haven't had to touch the steering wheel yet. I know I'm going to have to here in just a second when I change lanes. That's the one downside to this particular driver assist technology, is that it does not allow you, it does not change lanes for you. First world problems, I know, right? Trust me, I would still take this any day over anything else. But in fact, let's go ahead and do that. When I do change the lanes, you'll notice that the blue comes off of that screen that we talked about. It allows me to change lanes, turn the blinker off, and there you go. I'm back to BlueCruising it. So literally lane changes, interstate changes, you know, off ramps, on ramps, that kind of thing. Past that, if you're on the interstate, certain sections of divided road, that's the legal terminology I have to use. Man, this thing will absolutely drive itself for you. Hands and feet free. Man, it's crazy. What a world we live in. All right, so this breakfast sandwich is starting to get cold, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up right there. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it entertaining, or just if it learnt you something, as we say in Alabama, please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way. If you haven't already done so, check out our giveaway. We're giving away that Bronco 4-door full size with custom parts from TC Customs, the whole nine. It's going to be awesome. So check out tccustoms.com. Every merchandise, hat, shirt, anything you pick out there, $1 equals 1 entry. So you pick out 20 bucks worth of stuff, that's 20 entries into the giveaway. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day. Peace.